Hello everybody and welcome to the final third, and today we're going to be doing our Premier League Matchweek 17 reaction to the games that happened over this weekend. Currently, as we are recording, it is Monday, so the Fulham and Nottingham Forest game has just finished, and that finished 1-0 to Fulham. But it's been a very interesting weekend, a lot more interesting results, good games. But before we jump into anything, Al, do you want to reveal the player from the last video?
Yes, it was Andrei Shevchenko. Ballon d'Or winner, of course, but didn't really do too much in the Premier League, I guess, to be honest. So yeah,
mostly about his time in Milan. That's where he was at his best. But let's move on to one of his old clubs, and it is Newcastle versus Chelsea. That game finished 2-2. If you look into it, it was probably a better result for Chelsea than it was for Newcastle. Obviously, Newcastle being 2-0 up. Let's talk about Voltemada, shall we? How good has he been for Newcastle, and has he well and truly replaced Isak?
honestly, I do think so. I think he's putting up numbers which is getting similar to Isak, and he's just being very vital for them. He's just getting on the end of every chances they're like pretty much most of the chances they're making, and that is exactly what they needed at the start of the season when we were talking about it. Of course, you know, they were making the chances at the beginning, but they weren't getting anyone on the end of them. And since he's come in, he's pretty much got on the end of most of the chances being created. Obviously, he had the chance to get a hat-trick this game, but just couldn't get. It was just so close, but couldn't make it to that cross. But yeah, no, he's a class player. Obviously, good for him because obviously when against Sunderland he scored an own goal, which is not ideal, especially in that kind of derby. But you know, he's kind of redeemed himself. So I'm sure the Newcastle fans aren't too mad about him. So yeah, at him. So yeah, no, great performance from him, and he's a great player for Newcastle. And is going to definitely be a very key player for them going forward.
Yeah, 100%. Like we said, Newcastle needed a striker this summer. Obviously, they went for Sesko, but they might have found a gem in. Well, no, they definitely found a gem in Voltemada because he's scoring loads of goals this season, and you could even probably say he's the player of the season so far. But we move on to the Chelsea side of things and potentially their player of the season, Reece James. How good has he been? Brilliant free kick. I believe he's the captain at the moment, right? If I'm not mistaken.
He is, yep.
Yeah.
And he seems to be not just defensively, not just in the midfield, but also in the attacking side of the game. He's been very, very important. So what do you guys think about him?
Oh, 100%. Reece James, we've spoken about him in the previous videos as well. Very versatile player. Can play right back, can play CDM. But I think when Gustav kind of formed that, I don't know how to say it, but it's like they play in each other's positions now. Like sometimes Gustav will play at CDM and Reece James will take his position right back. It's kind of a duo for forming between them. But I think they were both decent in this game. I think Gustav was a bit not on it today. I think he was off it. He had to get subbed off around 50 minutes in. So not ideal for him because he had man of the match performances like a couple of games ago. But yeah, Reece James, what a free kick. I mean, yeah, what a player he is. Obviously, if he could continue being fit, that'll be very important for Chelsea because he's been the best player this season, in my opinion. I think Palmer has always had a very quiet game as well. I mean, he's still coming in from the injury, but we know what type of player he is. He's a very good player, but I just think he needs time to settle in and, take off the rust that he's had since the injury. So, yeah. But yeah, I just want to speak about also Newcastle's defense for the second goal for Chelsea. I just think, Malik Chow has had a very bad error there. I mean, it was an assist for Sanchez. He boots it to the attack, and he just completely makes a mess up of the ball and lets Joao Pedro go through. So yeah, just unfortunate because I think Malik Chow is actually a good young talent. But just one bad game like that can definitely. One bad game could definitely set back confidence and stuff. But I think he's still a good player. He's still 24. He's got more time to improve and stuff. But fair play. And I say for Chelsea probably a better result for them because the St James's Park you expect Newcastle to win, especially being 2-0 up and they've lost like that. So the defense is something that you do have to criticize in this situation.
Yeah, definitely. And like we said, it's definitely a better result for Chelsea than it is for Newcastle, as it was a comeback for Chelsea coming from 2 goals down away from home. So they definitely will take the point and run away with it, really. Let's move on to the next game, and it is Bournemouth versus Burnley. Bournemouth have drawn 1-1 with Burnley. Now, Bournemouth, they scored a lot of goals against Manchester United, and it looked like they were back onto, their sort of rampant goal scoring form. But they only scored the one goal today from their star man Semenyo, who we might be able to discuss later, because it looks like his transfer is heating up, and he will probably be moving to either of the Manchester clubs. Yeah, great goal from him, So what do you guys think about Semenyo?
Nah, great player, and definitely, a key player for Bournemouth. And I think if he does move, it's going to be obviously a very big loss, and probably going to be very hard for Bournemouth to find goals, because he can just, get a goal out of nothing. Obviously, with his goal in this game, it was more probably from Burnley making mistakes at the back and giving away the ball too easily, and just giving it to Semenyo, and Semenyo just doing what he does. He's got that finishing, this amazing finishing. And yeah, I think any team that he goes to will definitely, benefit from him and what he can do. Even like Man United, maybe their finishing has been pretty poor this season, so you could argue he would be a very good addition for them. Again, we'll talk about Man United a bit later and the other teams, that he's in linked to later. But Semenyo is just such a class player, and to be fair, like whoever gets him, it's going to be an absolute bloody bargain, because what is it, like only going to be like 60 mil release clause? So if anything, I feel bad for Bournemouth that they're not going to be able to get more out of him, because realistically, I think without that release clause, if there was someone was going in for him in the January or the summer, I reckon he's like 100 mil. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised with the way, some of these signings are happening in the Premier League, how good he is and how versatile he can be. I wouldn't be surprised if he's probably more of a 100 mil player. So whoever gets him for 60 mil, absolute bargain. Absolute bargain.
100% agreed. But we also mentioned that obviously Bournemouth's issue has been their finishing. I mean, they had a bit of a fluke against Manchester United, as everybody seems to do. They seem to be getting results against Manchester United. They scored 4 goals in that game. But they had 14 shots in this game and only the one on target, which they scored. So it seems to be that their finishing problems have continued on even after that bright performance against Manchester United. But on the Burnley side of things, they were under the cosh, and Mr. Armando Broja, who hadn't really been playing for Burnley because he had an injury at the beginning of the season, had clutched up with a last-minute equaliser. So, do you think he can be an important player and sort of maybe help them get out of the relegation zone?
I think he could definitely help. When he was at Chelsea, we saw him as a great young talent. However, since the injury that many people know about, during pre-season, he did his ACL. He's not been the same place since then.
Yeah, that was horrible.
Yeah, terrible injury. So that was potentially a very career-ending injury from him. So I'm glad that he's back and playing football now, and he scored a goal for Bournemouth that they crucially needed, because this is a game that they shouldn't be even drawing, in my opinion. Like a team like Bournemouth, who gave Manchester United a very good game, at home especially, they should definitely be winning this game. So I think a lot of people are surprised that they didn't win. But coming on and to score for your team is very important. As a sub, that's literally what you need to do. And he came last minute as well. So yeah, very important timing. Hopefully he does become a good player for them. But I just don't see it happening, because I just don't think he's getting enough time, enough regular football to prove that to me. But I feel like with Evan Nilsson, he didn't really do much in that game, so he could definitely, start next game and, have a bit of competition between him and, that could definitely, elevate Evan Nilsson's game as well, because the more competition you have, the better you'll play. So, but I do think he can definitely help Bournemouth when they do need it, but I just think with his past injuries and stuff and how he's playing now, I don't think he'll be like the same player that he was before. Like, he wouldn't reach that potential, but I still think he'll be a crucial player for them.
Yeah, 100%. And I think Burnley need the most amount of quality players scoring goals and making an impact in games. But
my bad. I said Evan Nilsson. I meant Fleming. So yeah.
Oh, my bad.
I said it on Bournemouth side, but I meant Burnley.
Yeah. That's fine. I'll be honest, I kind of zoned out. So yeah,
I was going to say something, but I was just like, let me see if he corrects himself first, and then I'll allow it. Yeah. Marcus Edwards as well got the assist, one of the signing that they made this season. So,
yep.
He was there last season.
2 subs. Yeah.
Was it this season or last season?
He won the league. He won the league with them last season, no? Oh, was it?
No.
He was there last season.
He was there last season.
He was there last season, Portugal, isn't he? Anyway, he hasn't really done
but he
much
was-
since going to Burnley, so I think it's good that he's like got an assist and.
Yeah, the two subs came in and put an
I think
impact.
he's
So
been slightly disappointed since he's come to Burnley, and like I think they've expected a bit more, and like so it's good that he's finally got an assist at least.
Yeah, 100%. But let's move on to the next game. The next game is Brighton versus Sunderland. Bit of a ball fest, 0-0. But let's say the goalkeepers came out on top. Both made a handful of saves, more than a handful actually. If we talk about Brighton, and they're also both Dutch goalkeepers, so they're both fighting out to see who can be the starting Dutch goalkeeper for the national team, I guess. But we'll move on to the Brighton side of things. Brighton in the overall game dominated, had more shots, had more possession, had more control of the game. But again, Robin Roofs, who's been fantastic for Sunderland and up there for their player of the season as well, denied them the opportunity to get the win at home. What do you think sort of Brighton are lacking at the moment?
That's pretty obvious, a finisher, someone that can score the goals, maybe even a bit of creativity. You could argue.
To be fair, I think Danny Welbeck's injured at the moment. He's not in the squad. He wasn't in the
if
squad
that's
for
the
them.
case, then
So
they're definitely gonna miss. They're definitely missing out on him because he was doing so well towards the start of the season, for them and getting the goals. But like you said, because if he's injured, they can't just rely on him, and they need someone else to score the goals for them, and they clearly don't have someone that can do that. And obviously, Danny Welbeck is pretty old and prone to injury because of that. So yeah, so they definitely need to make probably more forward signings, if you know what I mean. And probably even a bit more creativity. I don't know, maybe like Minte's been good for them, but again, like maybe they need a bit more going forward. What else can you say? I think even like defensively, they haven't been the best this season. I think at times they've conceded goals that have been a bit, poor, from poor defending and stuff like that. So yeah, I just think again we talk about consistency with the Brighton. It's just like they're on and off, on and off, and on and off all the time. So it's just like game from game. So I don't know. Maybe they just need to boost, get a player to boost each area of the team. If I'm being honest, I think maybe a defender, midfielder, and an attacker. If I'm being honest, I think they need to boost up the whole squad altogether. So yeah.
I think something that we could I might mention now is the AFCON could be one of the best things. I know they lost Baliba, but obviously Baliba hasn't been really playing well. This could be an opportunity for him to pick up some form, in the AFCON, away with his country, sort of to get a change of scenery, and build up a bit of confidence, dominate games a little bit like the way he did last season. If he's able to come back from AFCON and reach even anywhere near the heights that he reached last season, I think he'll be a very important player for them. And, we see how sort of great midfielders that Chelsea produce. Brighton is Chelsea's academy. What I'm saying is Brighton, they produce so many great players and a lot of midfield players at that. We had Basuma before, we had Casido, and obviously Baliba obviously looked like he was going to be the next one in sort of following that pecking order. So yeah, if he can come back up from that AFCON and be a vital player for Brighton, obviously that's still a month away. We'll have to wait and see. But on the Sunderland side of things, I would say it's a good result for them. Would you agree, Hassan?
I say it's a good result, but I think they're also another team that had a lot of chances to score. But obviously, it was a masterclass performance from Verbruggen. He saved Brighton from many chances. He made a handful of saves. I can't count exactly how much he did. It might have been like 6, something like that.
5,
so yeah, 5. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, so still a lot of saves for a goalie. So he had a very busy game. But yeah, I think they have the same problem as Brighton in this game. I don't think the attack was strong enough or clinical enough to score the chances. I mean, Brian Brobby's he was a young talent from Ajax. Everyone looked at him as like the next big thing, but he hasn't obviously lived up to expectation. Don't think he's been that great. I think he scored that goal. I think it was a last minute winner. Was it not against? Not winner, equaliser against Arsenal, wasn't it? Or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
The last minute equaliser, yeah.
Yeah, he came in clutch for that, but ever since then, haven't really been seeing much of him.
Yeah.
Also, I think the wingers as well. I mean, Chris Rigg is one of the players that Halas was talking about before the season started, but I don't think he did enough this game as well. I know he's still a young player, but You want to see a bit more action going on that side, and there wasn't really much going on. Adingra is actually a player that played for Brighton, and he's on Sunderland's side now, and he didn't do much either. So, yeah, I feel like for both teams, the attack just wasn't great. But I do think from defensive goalkeeping, perspective, it was pretty good. So, yeah, that's what I got to say.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, yeah, you could argue with Sunderland, though. We did talk about how they were going to miss a lot of players because of AFCON and how much AFCON was going to affect them. And I think it shows in that game. Like, a lot of their key players were gone. And for Bruggen, obviously, we talked about how good he is. And, like, to be fair, I think he is up there for one of the best keepers at the moment in the Premier League. You just got to give him that credit because the amount of times he saved Brighton. I mean, he saved Brighton against West Ham, and he saved Brighton on multiple occasions this season. So he's been a very important player for them. Probably one of their best players of anything in this season. So, yeah, I thought I'd just, shout him out a bit more. I know we already gave him
and
credit,
also, like we said, Brighton is the academy of Chelsea. Don't be surprised if Verbruggen moves to Chelsea this summer. Because,
literally.
do you know what I mean? They always sign
need a
the
goalie,
next up-and-coming Brighton player. Or at least make a crazy bid for them. Let's move on to the next one, and a game that, unfortunately, Ali's not going to be very happy about. But it was expected. Manchester City beat West Ham 3-0 at home. Haaland bagging 2 goals. I think we should just start with Ali. What did you think on the West Ham side of things?
Where do I begin? First person that needs to be mentioned is flipping Kilman, right? This man, it seems like I'm mentioning him every fucking week in a negative perspective because of how shit he is. He has to be the first person that gets, we have to get rid of because he's genuinely such deadwood. He's so awful. And just having him as an option is more of a, disadvantage than an advantage. Because him just being an option and having given Nuno the option and him having to be played, it's just not helping us. I'd rather literally a youngster come in and do a job because Kilman is so fucking shit. I'm sorry, but for that third goal, genuinely, that was Sunday League defending. How he's managed to let it through his legs like that is just an embarrassment in defending. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. I remember watching that thing and this will get cleared easily. It goes through his legs and then the defending between Kyle Walker-Peters and Todibo was just I was just like, oh my fucking God, what was going on? Look, like Carl said, going into this game, we expected Man City to win. They deserved the win. I'm not going to be too mad at the loss because it's Man City, right? However, I think we made it still way too flipping easy, especially for Haaland. First goal, not much Areola can do. He saves the first shot, and it goes straight back to Haaland. No one's on him. Gets the second shot, goes in. Easy. And, it's just all embarrassing, really, from West Ham. It's just awful. Even this defending on the Tijani Reinders goal. It's just, he cannot get through that easily. It's so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. The defending is absolutely awful. And I've mentioned it time and time again. The problem isn't even going forward. I think going forward and even the midfield now has improved drastically. But defending, we are on another level of shit. And if we get relegated, it will be based solely on the defence. Now, I'm looking at, rumours about who we're trying to sign in the transfer window. And I'm not happy with where what positions they're prioritising. They're prioritising... Look, I get it. Fulkrug's going to pretty much leave West Ham. Okay, whatever.
I think he's doing his medical at AC Milan as we speak.
So, obviously they got to make sure they get in this striker to replace that because there's only Callum Wilson at the moment. Yes, Callum Marshall, but it doesn't seem like Nuno, wants to play Callum Marshall whatsoever. So realistically, Callum Wilson's the only option. So of course they got to, get someone for a bit of depth in that position. However, in my opinion, the priority position should be a centre-back because Todibo is the only decent centre-back in my opinion that we have at the moment. Mavropanos has been decent this season, but he is still prone to many mistakes and he's not good enough, nowhere near, in my opinion. We need, with Mavropanos, I said this so many times, he's very inconsistent. When he has a good game, he has a very, very good game, but it's not enough times. And when he has a bad game, he usually one of the goals is from a mistake that comes from him. You get what I'm saying? So in my opinion, we need to prioritise a centre-back firstly before we consider going for attacking options. I still think, yes, it's important that we get some attacking options. I've heard he's interested in Vopotnik from Swansea. Obviously we've got the Swansea connection, so that's not a bad thing. Seen a couple of games from him. He seems decent. And as well, a very weird one, and one I'm not happy about hearing the rumours of, is Strand Larson. Now, look, he did look decent towards the start of the season, and maybe like you could argue the end of last season. But bro, why would you buy a striker from a? First of all, he's on like zero confidence. Second of all, like you see how bad. Like first of all, right, we're gonna obviously talk about the Wolves game later, but that penalty that he took alone should just make you go not go for him. But yeah, no, it was just an awful performance. Haaland, I mean, need I say more? I swear, like it's a genuinely. If you're betting on West Ham like versus Man City, make sure you're putting money on Haaland scoring a goal. I'm sure the odds aren't that good, but like you know what I mean, like to make money. But like, bro, trust me, he's gonna score a goal. So just chuck money on that because it happens every fucking game. Every game, whether it's home or away, this man is scoring at least 2 goals on us. We gave him his first 2 goals when he came to the league, and he's just continued to keep scoring on us. I bet it's probably his favourite game to play, knowing him, and I don't blame him because he always just bucks us, bro. It's just, yeah, man. Long day, man. Long day, bro. I don't want to keep talking about this fixture, so the quicker we move on would be the better for me, to be honest.
Yeah, let's just quickly mention just a bit more of the Man City side of things. Rampant, to be honest. It was a very, very well-deserved 3-0 win. It wasn't like there was any doubt in the game. Way more possession, way more shots, much more dangerous. Man City starting to click. Hassan, do we think that they are... I know Arsenal are first, but there's only a 2-point gap. Do you think that Man City are going to go on their usual sort of run of winning consistently until they win the league?
I mean, we know City, we know Pep's style of football. It's definitely a style of football that's worked in Premier League. He's won 4 Premier Leagues in a row, so I would be surprised if he does it again. So yeah, but I mean, the team, as you said, is clicking now. Like, of not just Haaland, obviously, but Shirky is playing really well. I thought, right now he's looking like the crave outlet, and he's created a lot of chances for them in that game. I think 3 big chances and 6 just normal chances. So that's very good. I mean, for a player about 30 million pounds, compared to the likes of Wirtz and Isak, he's doing a lot for Man City attack. I mean, what a player he is. Like, fair enough to whoever thought was a guy there to get him. And Donnarumma as well. I mean, this guy, in half the games he's played, he's kept a clean sheet. So I mean, it's an insane stat to think about, and he's mainly the reason why that they're doing well defensively. So because we saw at the start of the season how they were losing games, especially to Brighton. We saw that Trafford wasn't looking confident enough in goal, especially playing as number 1 for City. You need to be a confident goalie. And yeah, Donovan's done just that. I mean, he's world-class goalie before he even joined City. So I mean, we didn't really expect less from him. So yeah, I mean, the team in general is playing really well, and Ryan Diz now. I mean, the start of the season was really good, but he has a bit of a drop in performances, since the start. But I think now he's starting to get into shape and become a better player. So yeah, the team is looking really good.
Yeah, I mean, like Al said, let's move on swiftly from this game. I don't think he wants to talk about it anymore, but we're going to move on to a game he did mention just a bit earlier, and involving Strand Larson, and it is another Wolves defeat, unfortunately for them. 2-0 defeat at home to Brentford. I don't think anybody expected anything else, to be honest, did we?
No.
Very fair to predict that result, and even by the way the game went, it was a fair result to predict. I don't know. Do we mention the Wolves side? Do we mention the Brentford side? I don't know who to, because it feels like when we mention Wolves, it's always a negative. It always is. It's never a positive.
I mean, look, man, it's just what can you say? It's another awful performance from Wolves. Yes, they had some chances in the game, and Kelleher did well. I mean, the penalty might genuinely be one of the worst penalties I've ever seen in my life. It's probably an embodiment of how Wolves have been this season. Unfortunately, just no confidence, just awful. Again, I've said it so many times. I think they are the worst Premier League side of all time. I know people were talking about Derby. I think they're worse, and like we've said before, I just genuinely don't see where they get a point, let alone a win at this rate. I don't know what game against Burnley. I think they lose. I think against West Ham they lose. I think that'll probably come back to bite me. But I mean, I just don't see where they can get a point at this moment in time, and it's sad because the fans don't deserve it. It shows like you can't see any effort happening just on the pitch. And obviously, like, I'm not even going to mention the ownership anymore because we've talked about that multiple times. And yeah, no, it's just extremely, extremely poor at the moment. But yeah, good win for Brentford. But I wouldn't like. Honestly, I think Wolves just handed them that game, handed them the win.
I mean, Brentford were the better team. I mean, to be fair, if it wasn't for the goalkeeper for Wolves, it could have been a lot more. And that seems to be the story of the season. I feel like Sam Johnston's actually had some very good games for Wolves and made some great saves, but there's not much you can do when you've got that team in front of you who are just all lacking in confidence. But Brentford, 1-2-0, they needed a bit of a confidence boost themselves. They went on the best run of form, and they got that. So, yeah. What do you think, Hassan?
I was gonna say Jose actually started this game.
Oh, did he? Oh, my bad. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, Jose Sa was very good for Wolves at a certain point. I remember everyone's talking about him for potentially goalkeeper of the season or whatever, but yeah, I don't know. Everyone in the team is lacking confidence, as Ali was saying. But yeah, onto Brentford side of things, Lewis Potter gets a brace. Great 2 goals from him, and yeah, in those chances, just take your chances and score in it. And he did just that. I mean, they weren't the best goals ever, but I mean, when you have the chance to score, you should score, and he did just that. So, yeah, I mean, you'd expect Thiago to score. I mean, I don't think Thiago had the best game, but you don't going to play well every single game. So yeah, and I think Shada's now back in the team, so it's good for him. He's going to start helping out Brentford a lot because he was very important for them to start the season, and now that he's back, I think Brentford will start playing better now. But yeah, not really much to say other than just Kelleher is a great goalie, and he kept them in this game. I know it was a terrible penalty, but you know what I mean? Like, you have to do your job. You know what I mean? You can only face what you shot. You know what I mean? Whatever shot you're faced with, you got to just save it, even if it's a terrible one. So yeah.
Yeah. Let's move on swiftly. The game wasn't a very interesting game at all, and it was an unexpected win for Wolves, as we mentioned. But the next game was on paper probably the game of the weekend, and it was Tottenham versus Liverpool. Both teams not looking good at all this season. But Liverpool have won 2 games in a row, I believe, in the Premier League. Ekitike scoring again, Isak scoring again. Well, again, technically, scoring.
He won't score again for a while.
Yeah, and Wirtz getting his first goal involvement. So let's just give him a round of applause. Only took him 17 match weeks to get the first goal involvement, but he still needs that goal. Anyway, but Tottenham threw that game. 2 red cards. And, one of them was at a stage where they looked like they could have got another goal to get an equaliser. Al, what did you think about the Tottenham performance?
Yeah, just Spursy. Very Spursy. Very rash. Like the Xavi Simons. I just want to talk about the Xavi Simons red card because there's been a lot of talks about it because obviously we talk about consistency with VAR and there was a similar tackle that Van Dijk did. I can't remember if it was this season or last season. And he got away with it and didn't get sent off. But this time it is a sending off. So I think that's just a question that has to be said to VAR on the consistency, How can one be a red and one not be a red? And this is the biggest problem we have with VAR. Again, I've mentioned it. I think it is a good concept, VAR, but I just think the execution has been absolutely fucking woeful. I know a lot of people want it to go, but I just don't think it's ever going to go, unfortunately. And yeah, it just needs to improve. But going on to Spurs' performance, I think the red card definitely screwed them over, especially because Xavi Simons is meant to be that creative outlook for them, and he got sent off pretty early-ish. And yeah, so I think it's good that they were even able to get a goal, but it was clearly not enough. And I think Christian Romero getting that red card was a bit stupid of him. He does have that in him. I know he hasn't actually been sent off in a while, but again, back in the day, he was a bit of a rash player, and I think he
still is a rash player.
No, he definitely is, but obviously, yeah, it's been a while since he got sent off, and but nah, obviously he was really poor from him, and even the goal was a bit scrappy. It was shit defending from Liverpool. It wasn't even a good goal from Spurs, so I don't think they deserved anything out of this game, and I mean, they didn't get anything out of this game, and if anything, from a Liverpool side, they probably should have done better. They should have had a clean sheet probably, and if anything, probably scored more goals, but there you go. Game's game in there.
I mean, I saw somebody mention about the Ekitike goal that it maybe should have been disallowed. I don't know what you guys think about that. It was
I
a bit
think
of
it
a
should have been.
push.
He pushed him. He literally pushed him 2 hands in the back. Is that not?
So yeah, do you know what I mean? That's another thing that goals have impact in games, and we talk about VAR, we talk about the officiating in this country. It's absolutely shambolic in comparison to every other league. Like, listen, we've got the Champions League. Well, I feel like the officiating is very, very consistent. If it's a handball, it's a handball. If it's a foul, it's a foul. And I think we're going to see in the World Cup as well, because I think obviously most of us will be watching the World Cup. Most of the world will be watching the World Cup. We're going to see the officiating in that as well. It doesn't have to necessarily be people from the same country, but it just has to be somebody who's the best at their job for the best league in the world. And unfortunately, it's costing teams games. So, I feel like Tottenham kind of got robbed in that sense.
Like as Marino says, yeah, the real referee isn't on the pitch anymore. It's some random guy in a box somewhere. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
Not
Just
even on the
watching
pitch.
through
The person on the pitch does nothing. So if it was a referee that is just put on show, you know what I mean, just for tradition, you know what I mean? It's pointless.
Yeah, exactly. Referees make mistakes. People make mistakes, and that's fair enough. But surely the VAR should be doing their job and at least
Prevent mistakes.
right.
100%.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But let's mention the Liverpool side of things. Obviously, very, very kind of sad news that Alexander Isak, while scoring his goal, actually, I believe, broke his leg and could miss the rest of the season for Liverpool. Now, it looked like he was gaining a bit of confidence. Kind of score. He's scored 3 goals now for Liverpool, I think, in the league. Kind of building momentum. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying he's again the signing of the summer. I mean, probably the signing of the summer is like a TK. Or, I mean, it keeps on changing every week, but it's quite sad because he was building momentum. So, what do you think, Hassan?
Yeah, definitely big loss. I mean, he's literally the star signing. You know what I mean? £130 or £130 million player. So yeah, I mean, I think it's probably good news for Ekitike. Means that he's going to be starting every game now, but obviously not great for Liverpool in general because they don't have that, the depth that they need in case Ekitike gets injured himself. Who they're going to replace him with. You know what I mean? But I think Isak's goal was well taken. I think Verts actually had a great assist in my opinion. Good overlap run and just through ball and yeah, great finish. But obviously, unfortunately, I don't know who followed through with that. Was it Romero or was it Van der Ven?
I believe.
Yeah, it was Van der Ven. Yeah. I mean, he did his job, trying to clear the shot, and he just followed through. I mean, Van der Ven. I mean, that could have been looked at from VAR because he doesn't get near the ball. Yeah. I mean, you know what I mean. So I feel like that should have had some sort of, looking at from the referee. But you know about VAR. VAR is not consistent enough. They don't really care about these things. But yeah, I think Liverpool played decently in the second half. First half, I think it had to be one of the worst first half of any game I've watched in a long time. Like 2 teams not knowing how to play possession, just losing the ball constantly. It was just it just didn't look like a good game at all. But I think the second half, Liverpool obviously started to dominate a bit more. And I think Tottenham did well to score a goal, with a man down. But you know what happens when Charleston scores, it just ends up bad for Tottenham. So yeah, I mean, I'm surprised he didn't take off his shirt this time. But it just proves that even if he doesn't take off his shirt, they'll still lose. So yeah, it is what it is, I guess.
Now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's learned his lesson, but he still lost. So yeah,
at home against Liverpool, he did it before, and they lost the game. Rest in peace, Diogo Jota, for scoring that last minute winner. Yeah, I mean, like you say, there's a lot of controversial moments in the game, but something else I do want to mention is that Alexander Isak got subbed on and he got injured. Frimpong got subbed on, and I believe he got injured as well and got subbed off. So, and if you look at the rest of Liverpool's bench, it's looking very, very young. And if those 2 are out as well, their squad's looking a bit lacking. Now, I wanted to mention Semenyo because both Manchester clubs are interested in him. But I also saw a story from Sky Sports that if Liverpool were to come in for him, his clear choice would be Liverpool out of the 3 clubs. Only because I think it's the correct option, to be honest. I don't think there's a great left winger.
They need a left winger, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? A left winger is really needed for Liverpool, I would say, and I think Semenyo would be a top player because they did want to replace Salah. They wanted to replace Salah with Semenyo. So, what do you guys think about that situation there?
I think he'd be very good. I think it would be a smart decision for him to go to Liverpool because he knows it's guaranteed game time. And let's be fair, I think Liverpool will come back and make the right signings in the summer or January, and they'll come back and they'll probably definitely compete for the league, especially if Semenyo goes there. So I think it's a very, very smart move if he goes there. Again, I think Man City might be the least smart move, but again, I still see him getting some game time at Man City, but probably more guaranteed impact and game time and for Liverpool and for United. But again, I think Liverpool would be a very smart choice for him.
Again, we're talking about Liverpool, about it's sort of in the context of how their bench is looking. Liverpool currently aren't pursuing him and aren't in for him. It is Man United and it is Man City. We'll discuss it a bit more because I've got a couple of transfer rumours about Manchester United. So when it comes,
I was going to say as well,
we'll discuss it more.
I was going to say as well. I mean, I'll be surprised if Liverpool's got money left to even spend 60-something million. True. They spent too much in that summer. So, and also if Slot, they want to sack Slot, I don't think that. I mean, I don't know if they will, but no. But I'm saying if they reconsider keeping Slot, I mean, signing a player whilst he's still here is not the smartest thing. But I don't think they have the funds. I think PSR and stuff they won't be able to.
Not, right?
Yeah, I agree. So it's going to be a bit difficult for them to make a signing like Semenyo unless they were able to sort out like on certain terms of release clause, paying it over like 3 years or something.
Yeah, like Klarna method, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens with the Semenyo saga.
Yep.
What did you say?
No, I didn't say anything.
Oh my bad.
You said the Klarna method, didn't you? Yeah.
Oh, it's a Klarna method. Yeah.
Oh yeah, my bad.
We did that for Cunha, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I mean, Chelsea do it for all their signings. They have massive contracts and they like spread it. Me as an accountant can tell you like they spread it over the period of the contract. So pretty much every year is like a percentage. Obviously, depending on the length of the contract, is like split up. If that makes sense. On their books, so it's split up like that. So it looks like they're not spending as much money, so they can buy more and more players. But they're given like 8 to 10 year contracts.
Don't hate the game. Don't hate the player, hate the game, bro. That's what I'm gonna say, bro.
I'll tell you what. I don't see any other team utilizing it really. So do you know what I mean? But let's move on to the next team.
But yeah, I was gonna say
kind of. Yeah, kind of. Yeah. We know we're spreading it out, but it's not like on the same level. Anyway, let's move on to the next game. The league leaders get another important win. 1-0 win against Everton away. And by the way, the league leaders being Arsenal. Victor Gyökeres getting a penalty. Seems to be the only goal he can score at the current moment. What do we think about Arsenal, and do we think that it's sustainable for them to stay at the top of the league?
I don't. I really don't. Look, they played their best squad in that game, and they only just about won 1-0. Look, that doesn't mean like they're not allowed to do that when they're going for the league. That can happen. We've talked about that multiple times. But now that's kind of like in the last 3 games, the performances haven't been there. And again, it's not like they got injury problems. I mean, they played the best team in this game. Probably.
They probably lost their current best player in Gabriel.
Okay, but we talked about their depth and how good their depth is. One player like
what I'm saying is like Gabriel's a very, very important player for them. Goals, defense.
I get that, but if you're relying on
you could say it's on a similar level of like, let's say Liverpool losing Van Dijk, because Gabriel, I believe, is that important for Arsenal in my mind.
My point is,
what we're trying to say is he's not losing out that much because they're not losing out that much because Hincapié is still very good.
No, I get what he's saying. But I'm saying like
I'm sorry, but if you're looking for your goals in a centre back,
that's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I agree with what you're saying.
The golf difference is that much. That's what I'm saying.
But my point is, if you're looking for goals with your centre back, and it's not like you're not allowed to get goals with your centre back, but your main goal outlet should not be your centre back. Because obviously, I wouldn't be surprised if he's like their top scorer this season.
Tell that to Van de Ven.
Yeah, but on a real, like, it's really starting to get worrying because, like, what? They lost 2-1 to Villa. Who did they just play? Only beat Wolves, I think. Was it Wolves last game?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2-1. And realistically, they didn't score any of the goals. You know what I mean? It was 3 own goals. So it is worrying. Obviously, if they can manage to get through this and, like, start to bring up the performances again, then it will be all right. But when you have to look at it, it's the last 3 performances haven't been great. They lost one of them against one of the teams that are, probably going for the title. and they still got a lot of big games to play. You know, they still got to play. Like I said again, Man City, Villa, Chelsea, like City again, Chelsea again, Villa again. Even United again, who have started to find form. Who else? Yeah, just a lot of good teams. Crystal Palace, you could argue. Sunderland, obviously Sunderland got a draw against them. You know, there's a lot of teams that they're going to have to play again. And I think they'll probably lose points in those games. And with the way City are playing, I don't actually see City losing a lot of points. Unlike Arsenal, because the way City have been playing, they're dominating games. They're not just winning games, they're dominating. Like Crystal Palace, they won 3-0. West Ham, we can just overlook that, and I don't want to talk about that, but we expected that. But like, yeah, what I'll say, yeah, it's just they're not getting enough goals, and it's, again, like a penalty. They only got through this game with a penalty. And again, it's not like they're not allowed to win games like this. This can happen to teams that win the league. They can have very, hard games, but get through them. But again, it is just a bit worrying because the last 3 performances have been a bit iffy, you know?
Agreed, yeah. If I'm going to go back to the point you mentioned about them having to play all the teams again, every other team has to play those teams again. Villa have to play those teams again. Man City have to play those teams again. Now, I know you're saying Man City are in great form, but again, I feel like with the Premier League this season, you cannot predict what happens. Even if you think Manchester City are going to steamroll the league, believe you me, if they get some kind of injury crisis, if Haaland gets injured, which I know other players are scoring goals as well, but he is a massive piece of their puzzle. Now, if they lose someone like that, the presence of Erling Haaland, even him, like, just being up top, like you say, he's never offside, he never has any problems. But again, who else do they have that's going to play in that position? In that sense, for Manchester City, I know it's all well and good saying he might get injured. We know Haaland's a bit of a machine himself and not being able to get injured. But we saw Bruno Fernandes also get injured for Man United, and we've never seen him get injured. Do you know what I mean? It can happen. Listen, I think it's still extremely early on in the season. Arsenal are currently top. Give them credit where credit's due, in my opinion. They are top of the league. They are where they deserve to be at Christmas, and I know, even though it's like there was a crazy stat saying like in the last 5 times they were top of the league at Christmas, they haven't won the league. Doesn't necessarily define this season, if that makes sense, right? Like you say, their squad depth is a lot better. Winning games is something where, it's sort of a knack. I mean, you look at Aston Villa and how they're winning games. They've won, 7 games in a row? 10 games in all, or 8 games? 10 games in all competitions. Now, once you get into the knack of winning, you look at Villa, they're only winning games by 1 goal. And they're still consistently winning. And they're not even playing well, if we're completely honest. What I'm saying is, Arsenal are currently... Sorry?
I feel like we're seeing, like, in the last 2 performances, there's been a big drop-off with Arsenal in terms of their performances. Villa, they lost. Wolves, they kind of easily dropped points there, and they didn't score any of the goals themselves. And now this game, they only scored through a penalty. Again, I'm not saying it's not allowed and that they can't get through this. They can, but I'm just saying it's slightly worrying because they've got other big games coming up. And if they can only just scrap through these games, if they perform, basically, what I'm trying to say is if they perform like this in bigger games, I can't see them getting points out of those games. You get what I'm saying? Whereas the way City are playing, if they play those big games, I see them getting the points and getting 3 points, not just 1. You get what I'm saying?
No, I get what you're saying, but again, like this is just going to be a massive discussion point because obviously they're the 2 teams that are at the top of the moment.
It's what we like to see, though.
100%. Now, Arsenal, let's be honest, us as United and West Ham fans, or anybody in the Premier League, don't really want to see Arsenal win in the league because their fans are just so arrogant, so cocky. They haven't won any league title and they're already giving it the big one. Do you know what I mean? They already think they're expected to win the league. But again, we're analysing the team. We're not analysing the fans.
No, I get you.
Can I say a point as well? In front of you. Yeah, go on.
I was going to say, there's 1-0 against the Everton that lost like 2 of their big players. Idrissa Gueye and what's his name? Iliman Ndiaye as well. So they lost 2 of their key players, and this is a team that only just lost to Arsenal 1-0. Well? No, he played this game.
Okay.
What's his name? Dewsbury Hall.
Sorry, that was
and Dewsbury Hall.
That was it.
Yeah, Dewsbury Hall, Iliman Ndiaye, and Gueye, which are all very important players for Everton, didn't all play, and it was just 1-0. Look, I do think Arsenal dominated them in terms of every other stat, and in the game in general, Everton really do much. However, like 1-0 is not a good scoreline for Arsenal. Like as Ali's been saying, like if you are the team that's like projected to win the league, you need to be having better performances than this because eventually it'll catch up to you, as it did to Liverpool at the start of the season. We thought that they're gonna win the league and everything. Look at them now. So it could easily happen to Arsenal again if they don't, if they're not careful.
Thank you.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know. Do you guys have anything to mention on the Everton side of things? There wasn't really much going on in that
I think they're just losing a lot of key players.
Yeah, I agree. And the striker,
exactly
and the striker as well.
Yeah. Exactly. Those are just things that sort of they have to
Visible
sort of
man in
January.
Missing,
but we're going to mention a former Everton striker in Leeds and Crystal Palace 4-1, which is insane. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin looks like the most informed player in the Premier League at the moment, or over recent this month at least. I think he scored like 5 goals this month, which is insane. He's on an absolute madness, and the fact that they've beaten Crystal Palace 4-1. Like, remember, Leeds are some people projecting to be just relegation fodder, and now they're beating the FA Cup winners, European, playing Crystal Palace. It's unbelievable, and in the sense they dominated every stat. They were the better team overall, and they completely deserved to win by that goal margin. There's some teams that beat other teams. Like I remember when Brentford beat Manchester United 4-0. It was just a counter-attack, kind of smash and grab, do you know what I mean? Where United were terrible defensively, but this was a very well-deserved win. What more can we say, man? Calvert-Lewin,
bloody hell, what a player at the moment. Someone that Everton are definitely missing out on at the moment. I wish they had. Bloody hell, with Calvert-Lewin, he was good at Everton, and his only problem was fitness. When he finds, as soon as his fitness is good, you can clearly see how good of a player he actually is. And oh my God, has he been such a good player for Leeds recently? To be fair, started the season a bit of a struggle, but in the last few games, he has been the main man for Leeds in terms of scoring goals. And I mean, like, oh my God, I don't know what to say. Look, I did talk about and mention the fact that, Crystal Palace after a Conference League game, there's like a stat where they pretty much like lost all the games after when they play the Conference League. But that's not to diminish what Leeds done here. 4-1 is mental, right? We did also, I've talked about multiple times how much of a fortress Ellen Road is. And it's shown this season for them. Yeah, we talked about them being relegation fodder. They're out of the relegation zone. And quite frankly, I'm very pissed off that they're doing this well, because they were my only hope that we, like, a team that we could get above. And hopefully, hope they were going to get relegated, not us. But at this rate, it looks like we're going to be the ones getting relegated and they're ones staying in the league. And yeah, it's not looking good for West Ham in that sense. So, not ideal. When I saw this result, I'm just thinking, yeah, we're so cooked. We're so cooked. Because it's like, they're like, Forest are the only team that are like below them and above us, like in between us. And I don't see them getting relegated. So at this rate, I genuinely think it's over for us. But let me go back to Leeds. Free kick was amazing. The goals, the header from Calvert-Lewin was taken well. I think, can't remember if it was the first or second goal where Henderson saved it at first and then it went in. I think that's just really unlucky for Dean Henderson. But again, Leeds just really well. I think Crystal Palace, maybe they were a bit they weren't focused enough this game, but you got to give a lot of credit, all the credit to Leeds really. So yeah,
it is crazy to see, 4-1. It's I'm still in disbelief, to be honest with you, seeing how well Leeds are doing, and it's not looking good because even they're in better form than Man United of late. But we're going to move on to the Crystal Palace side of things. Looks like Europe is hurting Crystal Palace and not really helping them. What do we think about that?
Yeah, I agree with that completely. And yeah, I mean, we said this about teams like Crystal Palace who have very good starting 11 but don't have much squad depth. When your bench players are not as good as the first team, and the coach doesn't really trust the subs to do the job, he has to rely on his first team players who obviously are not going to be up to 100% after just playing a match in the Conference League. So you got to feel for them in that regard. I mean, as you guys have said, that they've lost every game after playing the Conference League in the Premier League. So yeah, it's not a great start at all, but I mean, you can understand that perspective. I mean, as a player, you're playing very high intensity games and stuff, and playing right after a few days, not enough recovery time to get back to 100%. So yeah, you got to feel bad for them. There's not really much they can do about that. But I mean, just sloppy defending as well. I mean, I think Richards gave away the ball, and I think it was for the Calvert-Lewin goal. I'm pretty sure, wasn't it?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. So yeah, very sloppy defending in general. But that's just, as I said, lapse of concentration and also just fatigue. When fatigue does settle into these players, that they just don't play well and up to scratch. So yeah, it's what's expected of Crystal Palace if you're a team that doesn't have much squad depth and has more games to play in the season. So yeah, I mean there's a lot of managers in the previous season, like Klopp, and I don't know who else is, Pep probably as well, complaining about too many games in the season for players. And yeah, these players are going to run down too much, and you got to feel bad for them.
Yeah, 100%.
Sorry, I was just going to add, they didn't even win the Conference League game. They drew it, which is even worse.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, Sar's gone as well. Do you know what I mean? Kamada's injured.
Yeah.
Is it Munoz? How do you say his name?
Yeah.
Munoz, yeah, he's injured as well. It's looking very kind of bleak for Crystal Palace at the moment, losing a lot of players very, very quickly. The sooner the January transfer window comes around, the better. They need to back Glasner if they want any chance of keeping him and even having a chance of winning the Conference League. Because if they win the Conference League, they're in the Europa League, which is a step up. But they need to back Glasner and to even have a chance of potentially pushing into Europe through the league. Also, you need to back Glasner. The injuries are poor, and obviously AFCON has taken one of their best attacking players in Sar, so you need to sort of invest all over the field. But let's move on to the next game. It is Aston Villa, the Manchester United, and Villa have beaten Manchester United 2-1. Now, let's talk about Aston Villa first and Morgan Rogers. Yeah, you could say the goals were kind of given to him in terms of he had the time to shoot and pick out his spot. But what a set of goals they were. Brilliant goals, top corner, giving the men's no chance. What can we say about Morgan Rogers?
He's better than Cole Palmer. To be honest, I think he is at the moment. And quite frankly, he's taken back his celebration, which is too right. That ain't Cole Palmer's celebration, that is his celebration. Right?
No, mate, that's my celebration. I did it when I graduated.
Okay, anyway, let's get back to that. Morgan Rogers, what a player. Honestly, some of the finishes he's had in some of these games is just mental. The crazy thing is, it's just like, especially with the two goals, it's the exact same goal pretty much. It's just like, how first of all, to be fair, it is poor defending from Man United to allow him to get these shots off. But just to have the ability to make those finishes, it's just unreal. And I remember I saw the ref cam of the finishes, and yeah, it's just like seeing that perspective. It just shows you how good of a player Morgan Rogers is. To be able to just that quick touch, and then just finish it, so quickly. And it's just, he's such a good player. Not just that, he's been carrying Aston Villa in the recent games so far. Obviously against West Ham, got the winner with a Wildy as well. And yeah, time at the moment it seems like Morgan Rogers FC with Aston Villa. But yeah, what a flipping player, and how lucky they are to have him. Obviously England, we've talked about them and how many great number 10s they have. Now he's definitely putting what would you say, like a question to the manager and a case, exactly. He's putting a case for the number 10 spot for England. So yeah, England are definitely blessed in that position, and personally I'd have him over Cole Palmer at the moment. So yeah,
and at the moment it's a very, very fair argument. Yeah, he's great, but we can mention, I think me and Hassan, let's just cook a little bit. We're gonna have to cook Man United in some senses, and if I'm honest, I said it after the game, and some fans might disagree with me. I think there are more positives to take out of the game than negatives, and I know the result, and I know that we lost, and I know the goals we conceded were very, very poor, but this is probably 2 games in a row where I feel like attacking wise we are actually playing good football. We look very dangerous, and we look like we can hurt teams at the moment. And I know both Bournemouth and Aston Villa are teams that like to play out from the back, and that sort of plays into our hands. I feel like against teams like this, we can definitely hurt them and sort of create chances, and we probably should have scored a lot more goals than we did against Villa, which that just comes from poor finishing from us. But again, against teams like this, I feel like we said, teams that play out from the back, it is sort of we are sort of their kryptonite in the sense that we press them so high up that they can't play the ball out from the back. Look at the Cunha goal. That's great work from Dorgu and good finish from Cunha. I don't know. There's not really much more. I don't know. There's a lot of players you can mention, but I think Hassan. Let's mention probably the two players defensively that sort of cost us, or three actually. Sort of the right hand side.
Yeah.
Yoro, Ugarte, and Dalot. Very poor on the goals. What do you think?
Man.
Yeah, it's very frustrating because I can see in the game that Yoro was not tracking his man. You can see when the Villa players like Watkins, I think, just running past him, and he's not going with his man. He's just letting him make these runs. As a defender, you have to track your runs because that's how through balls get through, and you can see goals. You know what I mean? So very frustrating to watch that. I knew from watching that Yoro was going to be sloppy this game because he was letting those runs go through, and he proved that against those two goals against Rodgers. Look, it's not fully on him because Ugarte, what was he doing for that goal? By the way, the first one. He was just ball watching. He just sat there doing nothing, like waiting for the shot to come in. Like, you're not the goalie or anything like that. So just, come put a tackle in. Don't just stand there, do nothing. He was frustrating. Honestly, the worst player I've seen in a very long time for United. And this game, he looked awful. Like, that lob pass that he attempted to, I think it was Dalot, embarrassing. He sent out for a goal kick. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, I don't know how as a professional footballer, 50, 60 million pounds, Scott McTominay's replacement is doing that. Like, it's just embarrassing. Like, shitty recruitment from our side. But yeah, it's just, I don't want to talk about Ugarte, forget about him. I do think Dalot attacking wise was good, but defensively he should be helping out Yoro. I think Yoro was, bad this game. We can talk about Yoro giving too much time to Rodgers, but I think Dalot needs to help his man out because for one of the goals, he's standing behind Yoro, even though Yoro's meant to be behind him. So he's just doing nothing in that regard. So yeah, it's just that right-hand side is a mess for us. I mean, we're losing Ahmad. Ahmad doesn't really contribute defensively, but he does press well for us, and he also helps to recover the ball sometimes. And Dalot doesn't do enough of that, in my opinion. As a right-back, you're originally a right-back, and your defensive game is worse than your attacking game. Makes no sense, you know what I mean? But also, I want to talk about Bruno. Unfortunately, he had to leave after the first half. Been our key player this season. So it's going to be a big blow to us, and he's going to be out for like a month at least with a hamstring injury. So yeah, not really much to say on that other than I'm gutted, really. He's my favourite player in United, so it's also sad to see that happen to him. The fact that I want to see him play and he's not able to play. And I think it's down to his role. I think that he's being overloaded too much, playing in that role. He's 31 years old, he's not exactly young. So playing as the CDM, you have to do a lot of tracking back and running. And Bruno has not had to do that for a lot of his career. He's had to just play as a number 10. So I think it could be down to that. The reason why he's just getting injured, that Bruno getting injured is a myth, you know what I mean? So yeah, I just can't believe he's injured and he's gone now. So it's been very difficult for us to, play games now. Like, it's gonna be. Why does that look like he's about to cry?
He's about to cry himself.
For Bruno, man, sad times, bro.
No, it's unfortunate, and he's our captain as well. I know people say he's not captain material, but I think it brings a lot of stability to the team. He does talk to the players, give them instructions and stuff. I think Bruno will be a great future coach, in my opinion. But yeah, it's unfortunate for us, big blow. And but I do want to say Dorgu had a very good game. He's been getting a lot of criticism lately. And I think he did a lot of. Obviously, it was crucial for that first goal. You can blame Matty Cash, but if Dorgu doesn't, press him, then he doesn't make that mistake. So, it was good from Dorgu. He looked very good on the left-hand side, defensively and attacking-wise. He was really good. Put on a play for Cunha, but he missed. So, yeah, I think Cunha, I know he scored. I know he was great on the ball, but yeah, he missed those crucial chances. That first chance, in first 2 minutes in, I know it's not the easiest finish ever, and he got really close to the goal, but he should be scoring that, in my opinion. And that header, as I said, from Dorgu, he should be scoring that. So yeah, I'm happy with the performance. We played really well from the first minute to the 90th minute. We just had bad moments of switching off in defence, and that's what caused Rodgers to score. But fair play to Rodgers, he's a good player. I said in the last video, he's Aston Villa's best player, and he was the best player last season too, so I'm not surprised that he scored both goals. So yeah, it is what it is. We take it as it is, and we have to see how it goes for us next game.
Yeah, we need to improve in a lot of positions, and we've had injuries, we've had AFCON, and we've lost out a lot of players. Now, we obviously mentioned Semenyo earlier. The story is, this is coming in from Fabrizio Romano. Manchester United are pushing and pushing and pushing to try and get a deal done for Antoine Semenyo. It is a Manchester battle to sign him, United against City. Both clubs have made contact with Semenyo's camp today also. So we are clearly having Semenyo as our priority target and hoping he chooses us over Manchester City. And I'll mention the other story. Manchester United are not ruling out the signing of a midfielder in January, and have discussed Ruben Neves internally. El Hilal would listen to offers in excess of £15 million for him. Now, those two stories I think are very, very important. Obviously, in the midfield, Kobe Mainoo's injured. Bruno Fernandes is now injured, unfortunately, sort of ending his invincible run. Casemiro is a player who I think is good, but is very rash, and I feel like we have to sub him off in games, otherwise he'll definitely get sent off. Ugarte seems like he's
Useless.
just out
Sunday
of
league
form
player.
completely. He's out of form completely, and it's very, very harsh. Well, it's not very harsh at all, actually. He's been playing terrible, but I feel like he's not getting enough minutes either, which doesn't help. You know, any player that doesn't get enough minutes, doesn't get match fitness, will never be able to play at that level. But again, he's not playing well. I wouldn't start him anyway. I would probably play Martinez in midfield over him, and he was great in midfield.
Oh yeah, I forgot to
if I'm
mention him.
honest.
Yeah, he was good.
So yeah, he was great in midfield, and I feel like someone like a Ruben Neves, just in the meantime, while the players from AFCON start to come back, while Bruno Fernandes is coming back for his injury, I feel like a Ruben Neves and a Martinez midfield pivot could work very nicely, just to keep us afloat for at least the next 2 to 3 months, or at least for the rest of the season. And again, when Bruno Fernandes comes back, if Kobe Mainoo stays, which again, that doesn't look very... It looks a bit questionable. He might leave. Napoli is the favourite to sign him. He wants to go there. His family wants him to go there. You know, a lot of stories going on with Manchester United. Yeah, he's seen that also Scott McTominay succeeding, Rasmus Højlund's succeeding at Napoli. And
He's
also,
stealing
obviously,
Manchester players.
Yeah, I mean, loads of Manchester players are going to the Italian league. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Roma might be signing Joshua Zirkzee as well, and that's why we're also looking at getting Semenyo. So we do need to replace players, and sort of the players that are... Oh, I'm feeling about to sneeze. Sorry. Yeah. Anyway, the players that left for AFCON, we need to replace them, and obviously the injured players too. So these two signings are probably a must, and we could do maybe leaving a little bit more, but I will definitely take those two signings if they happen. That's enough about this game. Let's talk about the final game of the weekend, and it is Fulham versus Nottingham Forest. Fulham get a very narrow 1-0 win. Quite a boring game to say the least, in my opinion.
Dead game.
Yep.
To be honest, I mean, there's not really much you can mention. It was a very 50-50 game, let's be honest.
Yep.
As the possession suggests as well.
Yep.
As possessions, yeah, literally 50-50. What do we think about... I'm going to mention one player for Fulham, and that is Kevin, the young Brazilian. Mm-hmm. Now, he wins the penalty, but his decision-making seems to be a bit low at the moment. I don't know his age. I'm pretty sure he's quite
22.
young.
Yeah, he's very young.
I mean, 22 is not the...
22 is a very young age.
Look, it's a young
It is very young.
It's a young age.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it.
I don't want to hear it, man. No, but look, to be fair to Kevin, look, like we say, he is young and he's only just come to the Prem. It's not an easy league to play in. You just got to give him time, give him more game time, and I'm sure he'll get into things. He's been a very good player so far for them. Obviously, won them the penalty, which is very good, and he's got very good quick feet. He's a very good dribbler, very good. He's a decent player, but it's just take some time to get used to the league and the team and stuff. And I'm sure with time he'll get better with the finishing and with practice and stuff like that. And yeah, I think for him it's just time. Just give more game time, and he'll just only get better. He seems like a great player. Harry Wilson, I'm not sure if he came off. I know he came off, but I'm not sure if he's injured because he did get hit in the game. But hopefully not for them because he's been their best player. But yeah, no, it's a pretty shit game if I'm being perfectly honest. Pretty boring, and there's not really too much to say.
Yeah.
Let's just mention Forest. I know again they didn't score and they didn't really look like they were gonna score. Is there any players you might highlight in the game for them?
I mean, I guess talk about Elliot Anderson. I mean, he's been one of the more important plays for them. He did a job in midfield, I guess, but I mean, you can't really talk about Forest too much when there was really much. I mean, they only had 2 goals on target, and I think Fulham's only shot on target was a penalty. So very lackluster game, you know what I mean? So just not really much to talk about if I'm being honest. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I don't think we can mention much more about this game.
Yeah, I'm trying my best.
Yeah, exactly. And that is it after this game. There is nothing much more we can talk about unless there is. Do you guys want to mention anything else about any of the other games? Any points you want to make?
Not really.
Ham is looking bleak for them. That's all I want to add.
But you've already said that, so thank you very much. Before we actually end and going on to the quiz, let's put the leaderboard up. I believe it's getting close at the top, but again, the distance between me and the boys is still the same. Need to make a comeback next weekend. Hopefully that can happen. That is the leaderboard for you guys. But before we end the video, Al, gotta end it with a quiz.
Yes, give me just 2 seconds to get up the quiz.
Yep.
Okay. Right, let's start with the first fact then, okay? He became the oldest player at the time to score a Premier League hat-trick, aged 32, in January 2014. The second fact, that hat-trick was scored against Manchester United and included a chipped goal over David De Gea. Third fact, during his only Premier League season, he wore the unusual squad number 29. Fourth fact,
I had to sneak that fact in.
He joined the Premier League directly after leaving, I'm going to definitely butcher this name, Ansai Makachakala. Definitely butchered that, apologies. Where he had been the world's highest paid footballer. Fifth and final fact, he played just 1 Premier League season, scoring 9 goals for a London club managed by Jose Mourinho. Yeah. Let us know if you know who that is in the comments, and we'll reveal him in the next episode.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks for that, Al. Thank you guys for coming in. Please leave a like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell so you get notified when we upload videos, and we will see you on the next one. Take care, guys.
See ya.
Yeah.